April 24th, 2024. We're at a place I've never done any rail fanning at on YouTube, Bound Brook, New Jersey. On the New Jersey Transit Raritan Valley line, and right alongside of us is Conrail Shared Assets main line, which is used by NS and CSX trains going into the New York metropolitan area. On the left is the old Bound Brook Depot, which is now Mama Rosina's Italian restaurant. Looks like it's got a pretty good cocktails, wines, pasta, good place to eat. This is the old Jersey Central main line from New Jersey out towards Pennsylvania. Arriving at 11:58 is 5134 from Raritan to New York Penn Station. They operate a few through trains to Penn Station to and from during the off-peak hours. Comet coaches. I rode on a set of them coming out here. Got here about 10 minutes ago. Stay here until about 7 tonight. See what we can see on both railroad lines. Power on this line is pretty much ALP 45 DPs. They rank right up there with the MPTA HSP 46s in the glamour department. Just east of here, towards Plainfield, one track is out of service for track work. Oh, right next to the station on the south side, I guess, or east side. South side is the Conrail Shared Assets main line. We're looking west towards CP Bound Brook, where the Port Reading secondary comes in. Yeah, that track is the old Lehigh Valley main line. And if you look further over, you see another railroad. That's the old Reading Company going down to Port Reading. That station building here at Bound Brook was opened back in 1913. There were others that were here before that, but that's the most current one that exists. Now it's the Mama Rosina restaurant. Well, this track leads into a little yard here. Just west of the station, we have some track equipment coming in. Several pieces of track equipment. Taking a lunch break, maybe? we have an eastbound CSX at 1246. With an EMD leader, how about that? This CSX train is M410, manifest freight from Rice Yard in Waycross, Georgia to Selkirk, New York. It's a rare bird and it has solid EMD power. SD70 Mac on the point with an SD70 Mac DPU helper. That is rare to see in this GE-infested railroad. Here comes 5123 from New York to Raritan. That's one of the newer ALP 45 DPs with the LED lights. Next stop, Bridgewater. Well, time is 1:02. Approaching is a train that travels a long distance. 5176 en route from High Bridge, New Jersey to Penn Station, New York. It's about 55 miles or so. to get torqued by the track work here. No Heritage ALP 45 DP. Sometimes nothing but Heritage units run on this. The Atlas, the new Autism engine, the 4502, which I saw in Harrison Yard with one car. Must be a PTC test train. Well, day is still young. Here we have an eastbound NS at 127. It's like more EMD power. And this is Conrail Shared Assets job MA1. Works out of Manville Yard to South Plainfield Yard, a few miles east of here. The locomotive was built in 1971 and it was previously a Norfolk and Western GP38 AC number 4100. Well, there's a Railfan trying his darndest to get a good shot of the Conrail Shared Assets track. 157, here comes 5175 from New York to Highbridge. He'll be crossing over to track 1. O'clock, 5134, Railroad to Newark Penn Station. Yawn. The motor power on those. Beautiful day. It's 77 degrees here. Eastbound at 232. Norfolk Southern. And this train is NS Local K76. It's a Croxton to Allentown turn. And he's returning from Allentown back to Croxton. Eastbounds are wild on Conrail Shared Assets at 244. This is the fourth one that I've seen. Looks like a CSX. This is CSX rerouted coal train E730. Runs from West Baltimore, Maryland to Grafton, West Virginia, the long way around. This recently ran on the Norfolk Southern Harrisburg line west of Philadelphia, but it was rerouted to this line. First time I've ever seen any kind of coal train on this line. Empty coal train. That's one of those reroutes because of the Baltimore tunnel work, I believe. 5127, New York to Raritan. And this train is 5440 from Raritan to Newark with the Poor Man's Armed Forces unit on the back. Of course, the Rich Man's Armed Forces unit is the blue number 4502. And we have a westbound, finally. Norfolk Southern train at 3:25. This is Norfolk Southern westbound train 269. Handles steamship company containers, and what a huge train. Runs out of the port of Newark to the old nickel plate yard, Landers Yard in Chicago. at 3:30, we have an eastbound CSX light engine just entering the Port Reading secondary. There's a grade crossing up ahead. And here is Conrail Shared Assets MA2 shoving back to Manville with his Port Reading secondary pickup. Well, enjoying this lovely day here at Bound Brook. It's like 77 degrees. I wish the summer was like this all summer. Nice breeze, no humidity, feels great. And, Bound Brook has been, seen 6 movements. I just saw MA2 going back with his Jeep 40-2 shoving a cut of boxcars back to Manville. But just thought, when I think of Bound Brook, I think of a trip I took here back in 1970, I think it was. I came here with another fan, and he was like all gung-ho about going to Bound Brook. Oh, I want to get all the C&J and Lehigh Valley and Reading Company stuff, blah, blah, So we come out here. And he had a brand new Honeywell Pentax camera he wanted to put to work. He was like, oh, my camera, I love my camera. I gotta see how good that does. And Bound Brook's a great place for that, blah, blah. So we come down here, and on the Lehigh Valley, we see those gray and sort of yellowish C420s. He got shots of those. Saw an eastbound Lehigh Valley train with those white C628s by Alco. Remember those things? I mean, they had so many paint schemes on the Lehigh Valley. Also saw like a Cornell red Lehigh Valley switch. I think it was an SW8 or a SW9. I'm not sure. And on the Port Reading line, saw braces of weird lash-ups. We saw a bunch of Reading Jeep 35s, whatever it is, Jeep 30s, all on just a single piggyback flat. That's it. But later saw an SW1500 on the Reading. He got a shot of that. But the C&J is what really gave him the prize. The usual C&J Jeep 7s on their passengers, the GP40Ps, that some of them are still in service on New Jersey Transit. But the real prize is you got like a Baldwin S12 switch in the yard, as well as a couple of Alco RSD5s, and a couple of freights went by with SD35s and SD40s. And, with all of that he collected, he was like, voila! He was like so happy. Oh, this is a great day. Never had such a great day filming in my whole life. Oh, great. He's like really happy. So we get on the train to go home. He's thoroughly thrilled, smiling. He's just absolutely giddy about what he got that day. So he's rewinding the film on his camera. Normally when you rewind film, there's a little resistance until the film comes out of the reel and back into the canister. So he's rewinding the film and he notices that there's not much resistance. And he's rewinding it, never seems to stop. So then he's like, oh, what happened? So he opens up the camera. Turns out that the film slipped off the reel, and none of those shots came out. He was like, oh my God, I could scream. He was livid. And I had to ride with the guy, and oh my God, it was unbearable. But I felt sorry for the guy not getting that stuff, and naturally, we got to go back there again. So we went back there, and naturally, we didn't see any of the weird stuff that we saw the last time. And he was like, he was beside himself. So that's my great memory of Bound Brook. It was a painful one for him. Oh my God. All right, got a westbound CSX at 434. And this is an old reliable CSX manifest freight this time of day. M403 en route from Selkirk to Greenwich Yard in Philadelphia. And its return counterpart is M404. Yes, the Baltimore tunnel reconstruction has really affected operations through here. Certain trains are being rerouted. They're being terminated further south, or they're running through here via the river line from Philadelphia instead of via Sandpatch. So when that tunnel construction is finished, operations should return to normal. One oddball that you see on this line are a couple of Autorack trains. The M217 and the M218, normally running through Sandpatch, are now running through here. Here comes 5431 from Newark Penn Station to Raritan. Finally, the signal's been green at CP Bound Brook for about 45 minutes for a westbound, and here it comes. Norfolk Southern looks like 23G from Croxton to Chicago. The trailing unit on that 23G was the first DC to AC converted Dash 9 unit, the 4000. It was originally a Norfolk Southern C40-9 standard cab, number 8799. And this is indeed train 23G, which runs out of Croxton Yard to the 55th Street Yard in Chicago. And you'll see some sort of dull yellow Mediterranean Shipping Corp containers. Those are loaded with stinky trash. So that's quite a bit of odd traffic to have on a hot train like this. Speaking of hot trains, Norfolk Southern runs several intermodals through here. The Steamship Company container trains, 268 and 269, which pretty much serve the ports of New Jersey. You have eastbound 22X, that's a hot train of domestic traffic. You have this 23G, you have 25A, which is a hot train out of Croxton to Atlanta, and you have the 26X and 28X, which are hot trains towards Croxton. You'll see the 28X very shortly. And the 29G, that's a hot westbound. That's the old 21M, which carries a lot of FedEx and UPS traffic. So between CSX and Norfolk Southern, this line hums with activity. Is 5431 Newark to Raritan with a PL42. That is a twist. I hear a Gevo horn to the west at 547. Eastbound Norfolk Southern at 547. And this is the hot eastbound 28X out of 55th Street Yard in Chicago to Croxton.